So I hope you got a understanding of the last tool, the GPS, the guidance principle system, and you've had time to think that through. Like I said, these two tools on module 4 are quite deep thinking, and this one, the model watcher, is an imaginary tool as well, but again it links into formulating a philosophy, the B bit. Now the model watcher tool is an interesting one because, like I said, it's an imagination tool and it's an imagination approach really, and it really works as you've got an imaginary watcher who sits on your shoulder, but this watcher is somebody that you have great respect for, somebody who will hold you to account, somebody who will guide to look to, and they change your behaviours. So they're there, they're constantly watching you, and they are your role model. So I'll take an example from me, and I'll be very open and honest. My model watcher is my mum. She is my absolute role model. She's strong in resilience, she's kind, she's caring, she's successful. And I've adopted this approach as a guide when it comes to those circumstances and situations where I need my behaviours to keep in line, to be checked. So an example was, I've been training for about 3 days. I've been away from home. I was tired. I got into my car and I'll be honest, my car was just full of rubbish. So I was in the car park and I don't know why, because this isn't me, but I just caught myself winding down the window and I was just about to offload all this rubbish out my car. And this isn't me. And this is where my watcher came into play. My watcher appeared and said, you don't do that. That's not a principle that you live by. And that's what this principle of a watcher does. It's your model watcher. It's somebody that you try to emulate, somebody that you really respect. And it could be somebody you know, but it also could be a fictional watcher. I know some people use superheroes or politicians, people who really respect them because they live by certain principles. And it's your choice, that watcher. Everybody's going to be different, so nobody can tell you who your watcher is. If you really respect somebody and you really respect their opinion, that's the key thing. What would they think of you if you were doing something or you did the wrong behaviours? Because the watcher holds you personally to a standard, and you know that, because if you do something that you know was wrong behaviourally wise, and that would be absolutely against your watcher's point of view, then you have to be accountable for that. And that's why it holds you straight. It holds your behaviours in line. Like, I was just about to do that. I wasn't thinking. It was easy to do, and I was just going to do it. It was an inconvenience to go and find a bin. I could have justified, pressed all my buttons all day long, but it stopped me because that's not the person that I want to be. And I certainly don't want my watcher knowing that I do that kind of thing, because what would they say? That's the key thing here is, who is your watcher and why? So really identify what are the principles that they live by, what's their character, what are their behaviours. What would they expect of you? So my mum wouldn't expect me to be throwing litter out my car. My mum wouldn't expect me to be rude to people or angry with people and impatient with people. How would you personally feel if you let your watcher down, this role model of yours? Well, I would feel gutted. I'd feel really ashamed of myself. And it would be very hard to shake that feeling because, again, going back to philosophy around beliefs and values, it's a key principle that I do not litter. And I would certainly know that my mum would not accept that from me. She saw me doing that, she'd be very, very disappointed. And if you let them down, how would it feel? And then it's the feel bit. We do things for a feeling. If your watcher's constantly there and you do some behaviour that you know is wrong, that if you went to tell that watcher, or what would they think, they would be very let down, then you have to hold yourself to account. And that's what it comes down to a lot of time. We have to hold ourselves to account. A lot of time nobody's going to do it. We look for it, But actually it's us, isn't it? If we're going to build our character, if we have a strong philosophy to work to. But this is a technique, just a principle guidance again around having this model watcher constantly there, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, never leaves you, an imaginary watcher that you hold yourself account to. And the last one is, they help in adversity. What would my watcher do in this situation? How would they act? What would their attitude be? What would their behaviours be? How would they approach this? To stand back sometimes and ask that question. If my watcher was dealing with this situation, this challenge that I've got, would they be strong? Would they be kind? Would they have control of their emotions? Would they be patient? Would they learn new things, new skills, new knowledge to gain a better understanding of the situation? So they really help in adversity. You call on them when you need to, and they will always be there because you define what they stand for. And if you define what they stand for, it's what you stand for. It's the be bit again. And again, the philosophy becomes your guidance system. So it strengthens your resolve, it gives you that fortitude, and you just again become so self-reliant through these techniques and tools that we're being introduced to. So I hope that helps in some way. Again, a thinking tool, take some time, teach it. Ask some people who would be your model watch if you had somebody on your shoulder, always looking down on you, checking your behaviours, checking what you say to people, how the way you act. Who would it be and why? And what would happen if you let them down? So quite a simple tool. Again, simplicity, but behind it there's lots of complexity because behind it becomes your actions, becomes your attitude, the way you approach things. So thank you for your time, energy and focus on this training video. I hope you like the two tools. The GPS system, really powerful tool. I use it all the time. I go back to it. I check the knowledge. I still understand what principles I live by. Do I need to refine them a little bit? But over time, what I've realised with that tool, especially the GPS, is I get very strengthened resolve when I know what my principles are. It gives me this self-reliance, this self-confidence, and also this self-discipline as well, because I know what I want to be, I know what I stand for. And it is challenging sometimes. Sometimes it's easier to do something and not follow a principle, because the principle, like I said, there's a price behind it. But when I follow it, I get the promise, that calm mind, that strong character. And then my model watcher's always there, testing me, holding me straight, holding me accountable, making sure that my values are in line and what I believe are in line, and my actions, especially towards people and in society as well. So I will see you on the next video. I'm just going to summarize this whole module, bring it into a close. So thank you for your time.